Hey, transformational prevention again. Oh my. Hey, hey. I know you love me. That's so comforting. Won't choose you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. Won't choose you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. But we are stuck except you take my hand and know me better. Hey, know me better, love me better. Hey, take me better, love me better. It's the transformational prevention show with
Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, we're going to be continuing our conversation on childhood trauma and how it affects, influence, benefits, or cause a lot of problems for us in our parenting. The last edition we had on this topic, we were able to identify the menace of childhood trauma, not only on ourselves or our immediate family in our parenting, but also to society, because we've been able to identify cases where from generation to generation we carry over these issues of childhood trauma without knowing that we are really dealing with those issues. When I come back, you'll be meeting my guests. Please don't go away.
Hey, transformational prevention again. Oh my. Hey. I know you love me. That's so comforting. Won't choose you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. Won't choose you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. But we are stuck except you take my hand and know me better. Hey, know me better, love me better. Hey, take me better, love me better. It's the transformational prevention show with Olori.
Welcome back. My name is Olori and my guest is Madam Ene Ede, someone who has really passed through the issues that we're talking about today. Like you mentioned the last time, you got married before you even had your ninth birthday.
Yes.
And it took you from that age of 9 to get to the age of 60 plus to realize that a lot of incidents in your life was as a result of that childhood trauma. And a lot of people, after that last episode, have been talking about their own issue. People are beginning to mirror their own incidents. Like I even said to myself, I said, anytime I hear a young girl say, I don't want to get married, I'll say, come on, sit down.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this. Now, how can communities and support networks help, in resolving or identifying or healing from the effect of childhood trauma?
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. We are grateful to you for bringing up this conversation, because even among women groups, among different demographies, you realize that they escape this. They don't want to talk about it, but it's something eating us up. So it's good we talk about it before it will eat us up and we begin to eat each other up. It's so important, issue of support structure. From my personal experience of other people, and reading books, is the biggest area we need to invest in. Community, the traditional African community, we lived in closed communities that people are each other's keepers. We are moving away from that. We are getting to other kind of cultures where they say, oh, let people be on their own, and you just leave people to be on their own. We were never like that. We were closely, there was nobody widowed or anybody who has suffered any kind of calamity or misfortune or loss that was allowed to be on her own. Until an extended, in fact, it's not even until an extended time. Forever, there are those that are embedded in families. They just stay within a family and they take good care of them without being called names. But now you realize that with a little bit of sophistication, modernization, globalization, is beginning to impact our lives negatively. You find somebody, not many married women want their sister-in-law either from either of their in-laws to want to stay with them. They will be worried, even if they are going to stay in the guest wing of their house, not staying in the main house, is problematic. But in the communities, the traditional Nigerian and African communities, there was no difficulty. The traditional ruler, if there is share of labor, they want to involve the person, he or she. And if there is anything to share, either from marriages, from cultural events, anything that has to do with eating, that has to do with share, even if it's share of palliatives, they will ensure they give to her. She doesn't need to advocate to say, I'm here, like we are doing now. They just give to the person. Your portion is given to you. So what is due to you, you get it naturally. And it helps in the healing. You won't, not that you will not feel the loss. You feel the loss, you feel the trauma. But that community support, that you have a structure that you can count on, that you can rely on. You have a shoulder you can lean on. You have people you will look up to. You have those who will say, yes, it's okay. It will be easier. You have those who will say, okay, it's okay to grieve. That others say, no, it's enough. Time has passed. Move on. It's body now, it's blood and flesh. So you need different categories of quality caregivers within the community who will come and speak the right words. Some, they just come on listening visit. They are not saying anything. They could, the body language will say something, okay. You tap the person, you listen, you show the person you love the person, and you leave. But if you come, the person is talking, you say, okay, I know what you are saying, I have read this in the book. You don't even allow the person to talk. Because the person can just decide to keep quiet and bottle up. So quality community support is very important. And always have feedback. If the person doesn't want to say, I don't want to talk today, don't insist, go. Some other time the person will want to talk. A smile back, some gifts, some prayer, because we are used to praying. But the most important one is that listening. Look at the body language. Bring gifts to the person. You know what the person likes. It will bring the person back to life. To brighten the person's life. Don't make assumptions and don't stigmatize the person.
You know, some time ago, we were having a conversation. For a long time, I found out that, you know, we didn't see you. And then all over the papers, we got a story about an incident that happened. And the last time we saw, you were experiencing some form of, you know, memory loss at a point. And we're able to trace it back to that incident that happened. Share with us, how was it dealing with
Grief.
the fact that a child you raised to an adulthood?
Yeah. With so much expectation.
That child you shared with us the last time that said to you, Mama, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you.
Yes.
How were you able to deal with that trauma of losing a child, not just to illness, but someone that was brutally murdered?
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, strangely, because of the family makeup and my disposition, even as an undergraduate, I had 9 people living with me in a 2-bedroom flat. And, or let me say 2 rooms. It wasn't a flat, really, because we couldn't afford a flat then. I was going through marital trauma. So I was there with 9 people from different parts of the country. I remember the landlord used to tell me that Madam, but to say you get everybody is your sister, your brother, everybody, from different parts of the country. You self, if you get big flat, it means that you bring everybody in this university to the place I was in, University of Jos. And so, right from when I was pregnant of this child, this pregnancy came as a miracle because married 7 years, no child. Then suddenly, there was even confusion whether you are pregnant or not. And before we knew, we discovered that, oh, it's a pregnancy. Then giving birth to him, the pregnancy, there was problem. 9 months, it was not coming out. 10 months, getting to 11 months, he had to do a cesarean session. And that child, he has always been among people right from when I conceived him in 1989, just immediately after my NCE. It has been like that until December 2021. December, look at the number of years. 32 years. Yeah. It was the first time, strangely, we went to bury their father, then we came back. January. No, came back December after the burial. And he said, Mom, I don't want you to bring anybody to this house. Let the two of God. We had to change accommodation. Say, because it came from Jos. I said, okay, stay. Then there was delay. The caretaker was delaying us. That is one of the biggest source of trauma is also shelter, quality shelter. So if you want, it's really amazing. He said, okay, I don't want anybody to come. He was a fantastic chef, makes sauces, cooks well, cleans the house, cleans the car, fantastic driver, never had accident once. He said, okay, he parked his car, said, look, I'm going to use your car, anything you want to do. Sometimes I want to look for a reason to go out. He said, come, this man has just gone to rest. You too, you need to rest. You have suffered all your life. I want you to enjoy. I'm going to cook for you. So it was just the two of us in the house. He don't let anybody in. For the first time in his life and in my life, we were staying together. Wow. Suddenly, I just got a message. Come on. The first thing, he wants me to go and pay some bills. 2:56 a.m. on the 19th, Wednesday. I got a call from police. I needed to do some checks. Within 5 minutes, I was able to do some checks. And I called his friend, Pastor Ken Anato, who are already at the hospital. So you look at the source of trauma and my determination and covenant with God to stay alive and assist other people. Once we got to the hospital, naturally you go to, I went to the National Hospital, we went to accident, say no, go to trauma. I went to trauma and said, wait for the doctor. And the doctor came and said, sit down. I said, no, I won't sit down. I saw somebody like him. Hey, that's my son. I said, no, it's not your son. You know what the doctor told me? Go to the mortuary. So how do you want to feel as a woman? There should be trauma therapists that will hold you down, begin to do all sorts of things to calm you down. How I got to the mortuary, only God knows. Pastor Ken and myself. Pastor Ken just screamed, is there no mercy? What is it exactly? Where is police? When I went there, entered the mortuary, the next day I called the police. Come, you called me. Say, my son asked you to call me. So where are you? He says he's at home. I say, no, you need to come to the hospital quick. Say, come to the police barrack. Say, okay, I will pay. If you say no transfer, I say, I will pay. One thing led to the other. Immediately, I just went into covenant with God. I said, I want to find out the details. I was just praying. I had delayed grief. I could, and it's very dangerous for you not to be able to grieve properly when you suffer a loss. I say, is that my son? But I saw him in the evening. What could have happened? Before I knew, when police said they should close the case, too many complications. The greatest challenge was that my father's family, some members met and said, he should be buried on Friday, and I didn't get it. Don't go to police, don't go for autopsy. But God helped me with energy, Minister of Women Affairs, then the Pauline Talent, and Timoji, the women, the constituencies, all the constituencies, the rights constituencies, even a lot of duty bearers, they came together, right bearers, duty bearers, they supported me. We were able to get started the process of getting the autopsy report, my family said, look, if we are going for the autopsy report, we disown you, and I was disowned. I said, Father, you are my father. You have to hold me tight so that I don't die. I don't want to die. When people come, they are crying. Once in a while, I will cry. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water. The people were forcing me to drink water. Remember, I'm so grateful to Dr. Lola.
Now, from the hospital,
Yes,
which would have been the first place
yes.
that should give you a kind of shock absorber,
Nothing like that, just announced. And
Go
I
to the
got up,
mortuary.
and nobody was following me. I ran to the mortuary. You can collapse within the
and
process.
that is supposed to be the first community
Exactly.
for this particular incident.
This is community of
That
practice,
should
trauma
give us-
center, national trauma center. You see why I've decided that all my life, this is what I want to do, this campaign, to raise awareness and to be able to treat people going through trauma with care, with empathy, with love, from the point of knowledge. So that you don't allow people die in the process of grieving. A lot will be lost. A lot of people want to say, okay, it's better I die. So when my family now say they've disowned me, if I want to bury my son in the village, which is our culture, if I also want to go for autopsy, and I just finished delivering on Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act as the first coordinator, and I've been telling people, speak out against violence, take this action. So it was a challenge on my dual ministry, ministry in God and ministry in humanitarian work. So, and a lot of people are sentimental. This is your family. I say no. I stay with humanity. So that gave me strength. And a lot of people were coming, different, both high and low. Be strong. Somebody asked me, but are you grieving at all? I couldn't even talk because I was strategizing what can be done here. Go to some, I remember one of my relations said she can't even sit down. When people come, there is police station, she's at the court. Because I had to go and do, what do you call it? I had to go and do affidavit. You can't outsource it. You have to be strong, you have to be living, you have to be standing to do it. When I got there, someone said, hey, come on, what do you want? When I to say, they wangled me to the first line, and the person quickly did it for me. I took it to police station. The police was surprised. So all these processes are so cumbersome. I needed to be strong and alive to be able to go through that. Because I didn't want the death of my son to be in vain.
And you had a community.
Yes.
Now, there are a lot of other
Who
women,
didn't have
families that
Yes.
can't have this kind of community.
We
and
must
support
generate it too.
that you
Because
have.
whether you are public, whether you are somebody like me, whether you are a duty bearer, a political office holder, a civil servant, everybody, high and low, is entitled to quality community support.
Because
it's what I'll be campaigning for.
without it,
Yeah.
it still gets back to the place of parenting in
Yes,
hurt,
exactly.
parenting in grief, and these are
Yes.
things that we bring from wherever we are coming from.
Exactly.
It's like a child losing a father
Yeah.
or a child losing a mother,
Yeah.
and not having the
Or both parents,
yes
even at home.
at that child,
Yeah.
and then gets to a particular
Yeah.
behavior. If you have not dealt with those things, you find yourself still
Yeah.
taking it to parenting.
Yeah.
Now, are there cases where we have seen the trauma from parents
Yeah.
affecting children in very drastic ways?
Look at, somebody had asked before that public office holders should be subjected to psychiatric review or psychiatric examination. The person is right to some extent, but what Dr. James Iwowari will tell you and other specialists in dealing with childhood or trauma that they have transpired to high political office that is crashing on all of us, like what we are seeing today. When you are talking about cashless economy, sudden hardship, political brigandry, misbehavior, unnecessary demand for sex, all the bad behavior you are seeing playing out in public offices is part of it. Go through the route. I remember somebody was talking to a public office holder who was making so much trouble. And they said, why is this person like this? They said, oh, his father was like that, his grandfather was like that. So what we have to do now, how do we stop it there? So that his children don't acquire this behavior. They collect from their great-grandfather. That is the 4th generation. You can see, because of modernization, if we allow that, it will magnify. So many of the behavior you see now, those who have been traitors, there are those who have been thieves, they have been abusers of women, and they carry it into public office. That some can stay in the hollow chamber like the Senate and tap a woman on the buttocks and say, get away. You might, they are talking and you are talking and say you are a prostitute. Those are the kind of low behavior you are seeing in public. And people looting.
Yeah.
It's not normal to go and loot public
I've
treasury.
actually seen a case where a
Yes.
young boy didn't really see anything wrong in beating his wife.
Yes.
And the wife screaming and calling the police. After all, was how his father was able to
So you see that transfer?
make the mother submissive to him. And so, it came from there, but he never knew it was a problem.
A younger woman will not take it.
And took it out. Well, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we will be looking at how we're able to strike a balance between where I am and where I want to go, especially when it comes to the well-being of the children that we are raising and living in harmony with our families. Please don't go away. I'll be right back.
You want me, take my hand and know me better. I know you love me, that's so comforting. Won't you want me, take my hand and know me better. I know you love me, that's so comforting. But we are stuck except you take my hand and know me better. Hey, know me better, love me better. Hey, take me better, love me better. It's the transformation.
Welcome back. We're talking about childhood trauma and parenting. And my guest, Ene Ede, has been sharing a lot of revealing things, because sometimes we see behaviors and we really never know where it comes from. And when you trace it, you keep saying the home, the parents, the family, where the child comes from. Now, how do you think we can strike a balance when addressing these issues between when someone is healing and someone who has been hurt by the effect of that childhood trauma before you begin to discover yourself and healing?
We're happy that the mental health bill was transmitted and also given accent by Mr. President, which is very important. But the question is that, do you want to fund the bill? And when it's appropriate, the gaps that have been, because a lot of experts have said that it was horridly put together, but it's still better to have something. It's a courageous way of dealing with this, and to acknowledge it as a national problem. So a major thing a lot of people have been asking for is the psychosocial support. Just like you have HMO for different categories of people, whether you are private, in public office, you are entitled to it. Yes. So there is that campaign that can you upgrade it, because no matter what it is, just like they say, the popular say that you cannot build something on nothing. You can't build on trash. It means until there is a psychological well-being, the mental well-being, the emotional well-being, the wellness of the person. Even if you want to administer the medication, this drugless one now is very important, the psychosocial support. I want you to imagine persons with disabilities, what they go through. If you cannot provide the psychosocial as a right, as a basic necessity, as a major ingredient of your health policy, then there's a problem. Every workplace should have, that's why we're doing a lot of campaign to be able to get every workspace, every people, social-cultural groups, religious groups, that don't go and be applying what you read from your books, because there is so much advancement.
So are you
Yes.
Supporting or advocating for counseling units
Beyond
to be
counseling
in all
unit,
those kind
yes,
of places?
when you have it, like AIT now,
Yes.
have somebody who has been trained in as a psychosocial therapist. You have different categories. You can have a counselor. You say, how do you pay? The services are expensive. But the impact, the transfer of the trauma is more expensive. It affects productivity more. So every workplace, every space, whether sociocultural, church, I told my pastor, I went to see him today to say, look, I'm still saying this. Let us start small. By the time you start, you will see that is helping. The preaching alone cannot deal with what has entered the tissue. I'm not looking less
because
at
people
the
are really
impact
hurting.
of God. But
Yes.
when in AIT, for example, you've gone through psychosocial, you talk to the staff generally, your partners and others, you talk to them generally, and you have a space. A lot of people, hey, trauma, and I'm not, we are just deceiving ourselves. If you now get somebody who is well trained and the person now is the one supporting, not only one person, no,
Yeah.
you have somebody who is there helping to coordinate, could be an additional assignment you are giving to the person apart from the regular one. You can also make that the main thing the person will be doing and supporting in other area. Then you have a visiting psychologist, a visiting sociologist. There are people who will be willing to. Nigerians are fantastic people generally. You have visiting sociologists. I met an honorable member recently. He told me that I gave it my testimony as a lived experience. He said, please, I'd like to support. I will take time from there. That is part of my constituency work. So imagine that in all the 360 constituencies of the House of Representatives, 109 constituencies in the Senate, impacting on their communities, like somebody can say like a Senator Iritina, I will say, okay, AIT is part of my constituency.
Yeah.
I can support the logistics for the psychologists, the physiotherapists, because it's not everybody pain that responds to medication.
To kill, yes.
Ibuprofen, what is it, Panadol and the rest. But you can have a therapist come to just give you normal body therapy.
massage.
You sleep, by the time you get up, you are relieved. Even if it's a perpetrator of violence or somebody who has also caused trauma in people, all of us have the right to this service. Psychologists, psychiatrists, most mistake people make is that they take some of these people who are going through mild trauma, not even chronic or complex trauma, not acute trauma. They just push
Dump
them
them.
to psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
Then they begin to imagine they are running mad. You have added to their problem. You are pushing them to depression. So this thing is simplified. It's cost effective because a lot of people feel embarrassed to say they are going through. Yeah, they are going through it. Unless you are not human
Like
being.
you said the last time, the first
Yes.
thing we need to do is, first of all, identify it and
Safeguarding
speak out.
ourselves
Yes.
is very important.
Yes.
So it's absolutely important for us to have it at different places. In other countries, they have it. At workplaces, they could subsidize this thing, but they can also give it free so that you can have better productivity. And have people who are sane, who are well, to be able to deliver on the mandate.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because whether we like it or not, a happy person will make a productive
Certainly.
staff. And of course, a productive staff will, of
Sadness
course, make
is
a prosperous
infectious.
country. Exactly, it is. Wow, thank you so much for shedding light on this very sensitive issue. I call it sensitive and
It
intricate
is.
because a lot of people don't want to talk about
At
it.
all.
We don't want to accept it. But it's
Especially women.
Exactly. It's hurting us. We
Even
have the
men
trauma
too, the
from
ego.
marriage. We have the trauma from childbirth.
Yeah.
We have trauma from raising children.
In-laws.
We have
Toasters.
the list. The list goes on.
Yes.
Oh my God. So I really hope that this conversation will be a source of reflection for every one of you, us, watching, and it will help us to understand what others are also going through and see how you and I can offer some form of support and give way, for resources for those who are going through it. And for us as parents, I hope that we'll be able to anchor our parenting on empathy, anchor our parenting on love, anchor our parenting knowing that when we heal, we're able to raise children that are wholesome. Let's stop transferring our hurt into our children and say we're parenting. God will help us, but you need to help yourself. All right, thank you. That's the show for today. I'll see you again next week. Remember to follow us on all our social media platforms. And if you need help, please feel very free to reach out to us, and we will link you up with all those who will give you the right support that you need. My name is Mute Olori. God bless you.
Know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. Won't choose you want me. Take my hand and know me better. I know you love me. That's so comforting. But we are stuck except you take my hand and know me better. Hey, know me better, love me better. Hey, take me better, love me better. It's the transformational parenting show with Mute Olori.